Hello, everyone, and welcome to our workshop on Kitbashing with AI, streamlining 3D workflows using MPX ComfyNodes. I'm Nelda, head of operations, and I'm joined by my colleague Leslie, head of strategy, here at Masterpiece X. We're really thrilled you could join us today to explore how AI can help you optimize your 3D production process. But before we dive in, here's a quick look at our agenda for the next hour. So we're starting off with intro, which is what we are doing right now. Then I'll be passing the mic over to Leslie, who will go over installing the nodes, and he will be walking you through the entire setup process. Then afterwards, we have the introduction to Masterpiece X nodes, where you'll learn about the features and benefits of the Masterpiece X Comfy nodes. Then Leslie will share the kit bashing workflow where you could see our AI-assisted workflow in action. And then finally, we'll end with Q&A where we'll open it up for questions and next steps. So just a couple of quick housekeeping items. The first is we'll be recording the session. So if you prefer not to be on camera, feel free to turn it off and stay on mute. And please use the chat or the raise hand feature in this Meet. So if you have any questions during the demo, feel free to go ahead and do that. We'll also have the dedicated Q&A time at the very end. And then finally, we'll share any relevant links and resources via email after the event, so keep an eye out for that. Now, I want to start off with sharing a little bit about Masterpiece X. So 3D teams are facing rapid changes in AI, making it really challenging to integrate cutting-edge tools into existing pipelines. So our goal at Masterpiece X is to enable teams like yours to quickly adopt AI without the complexity of building everything from scratch. We've developed a developer-friendly and creator-friendly infrastructure and expert services to streamline integration and accelerate AI adoption. And of course, I want to really thank you again for joining us. As AI pioneers in 3D, your insights and enthusiasm can really spark transformative changes in your teams. And we want to make sure to equip you with the most innovative approaches so you can lead that charge, inspire your colleagues, and shape the future of 3D production. And with that, let's get started. So first up, we'll walk you through installing the ComfyUI nodes so you can follow along in real time. Feel free to pop any questions in the chat, and we'll address them as we go. Passing it off to you, Les.
Do it. Just get on mute right off the hop. Okay, so I'll share my screen here, and here's what we're going to do. So first of all, before I begin, this is meant to be a very interactive experience. You can raise your hands, ask questions as you go. I would like to check in with folks and see who has installed ComfyUI. If you could give me a thumbs up or awesome. Is anybody else here needing to install ComfyUI? If you don't have Comfy installed, I'm gonna put the post here. It's http so comfy.org/download. And the example I'm going to be using there, so they have a PC and a Mac app, and then you can also install it through a GitHub repository. So if you have ComfyUI installed, then what I'll do next is we are giving you very early access nodes. So these nodes are going to come in as zip files, and then I'm going to walk you through how to install the nodes, and that takes about 10 minutes, and then we'll be into the demo and see how it all works. So the first thing we'll do is I'm going to share a link to some zip files here, and it's in the chat. So if everyone could download the drive.google.com link and unzip the files and let me know if you are there. Okay. Excellent. We're getting close. How's everyone else doing? Are we all pretty close? Okay. All right. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do next is, now I'm on a Mac, so my examples are going to be on a Mac. If you are on Windows, it's very similar. Uh, it's a very similar process. And just give me 1 second here. Hold on. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do now here is I'm going to present something else, which is my entire screen here. And so when you install Comfy, the default location for your Comfy install is usually in your documents folder, and then you get a ComfyUI folder. You may have installed it in a different directory, but what we want to do is we want to open up the ComfyUI folder, and you'll see a custom nodes directory. So if everyone can just confirm that they're at their custom nodes directory, then what we'll do is we'll unzip the nodes and then we'll drag them over. Excellent. The nodes you should have received, you should receive the Gen AI nodes, a prototype nodes, and there's also a third directory called, I think it's called image filter or CG image filter. You should have 3 of those. Do you have those? I'm assuming that's a yes. Just because I don't want to go too fast. Okay, excellent. So what you want to do is you want to take those 3 directories, there's a third one in yours, and just drag them over right onto the custom nodes directory. And if you're on Windows, it's also in the documents folder as well under ComfyUI/custom nodes. So let me know if you've copied those over. And once they've copied over, we will start the installation process. Excellent. For those of you, and some of you might be just watching, which is fine. But I just want to make sure if there's any other people, if you're like a little bit behind or not, just give me the thumbs up if we should move on before I proceed. This is one of those things where being in a room together is so much nicer. You can kind of walk around and check on people. But if anyone needs more time, let me know. Okay. So now that we've dragged those nodes over, we want to start Comfy. Now I'm going to close my version of Comfy and restart it. So I use the Spotlight search and just type ComfyUI. You might have to find it in your Windows folder or your applications folder in Windows. It could be in your applications folder in a Mac, or it might be in a custom directory, but we want to start Comfy here, and I'll just start with a blank workflow. And once you have Comfy started, I will walk through we have to install some dependencies, which is a little bit more technical aspect of this workshop. So let me know when you're ready for me to move to that process. Okay. Again, if you need more time, okay, excellent. So in ComfyUI, does everyone have the Comfy Manager installed? It comes default. It comes default if you install it off of the Comfy. Yes, okay, folks have the Comfy Manager. So beside the Comfy Manager, though, there is a little area here that it looks like a little book, and it actually is a bottom panel toggle. If you toggle that on, at the bottom of ComfyUI, you have the logs and you have a terminal. I want to go to the terminal, and this is where we're going to run some installation commands. I know some of you might be very familiar with this. Some people might be new, so I'm going to kind of move through this a little slower. And but what you want to do is open up that terminal and let me know when you're ready to move to the next stage where I can walk through the requirements installations. Cool. So then what we want to do is ls, which means list, I'm going to just type the command in here, shows you all the different folders within the ComfyUI directory. And just so you know what we are doing is we are literally in this directory, but we're doing it in text in the terminal. So you know it says custom nodes input models output, custom nodes input models output. It's the same folder. And we want to go into the custom nodes folder. So it's cd custom _ nodes. And I'm going to copy and paste that into the chat. Whoops, don't want to share the file again here. So copy and paste that into the chat. Oh, sorry. cd custom nodes. That's where we're now. And then you'll notice in the custom nodes, if I do that list again, you'll see all the custom nodes, the CG image filter, the Gen AI nodes, and the prototype nodes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change directory, and I go to the MPX _ Gen AI _ nodes, and then I'm going to list those files again. So I'm going to write that down. So change directory to MPX _ Gen AI _ nodes. And then you're going to list just so you can see them. And you'll see there is a requirements.txt file. So that has all the dependencies that are required. So to install that, you need to type in pip install -r requirements.txt, and I'm going to copy and paste that. And that will install a bunch of requirements. Now, I have mine installed already. So I'm going to wait for everyone who's following along directly on how to do this to follow along, right? I want to wait till the requirements have been installed. So let me know if your requirements have been installed for the Gen AI nodes. Excellent, excellent. For those of you who are watching, there will be a video of this later, so you can follow along and do this again. And once you've done the requirements installation of the Gen AI nodes, let's go change directory ... which means I'm going to go back to the previous directory. I'm going to go back a directory. And then I'm going to change directory. So I'm going to list it again so I can see everything. Okay, oh, there's the prototype nodes, the Gen AI nodes. I'm going to change directory to MPX _ prototype _ nodes. And then again, in the prototype nodes, you will also see the requirements.txt. So you want to do the same thing, pip install -r requirements.txt. And then you'll get those requirements installed. So let me know where you're at there. Excellent. So there's a number of you that are following along. That's great. And before we continue on, I just want to check in. Are there folks here who are just watching? If you're just watching, can you give me a thumbs up as well? So I just get a sense of how many people are cool. Okay, we have some watchers. We have some. Okay, great. So excellent. So that's great to know. So this installation process we're almost done now. So now we've done those requirements, right? What we need to do is to restart Comfy. And the way I do that is I go to the manager and I go and hit the restart button, and we're going to restart Comfy. And then the next part of our process is getting the API keys all set up. So once you restart Comfy, you should be able to go to the little gear settings box at the bottom here. Open that up, and you should see an MPX settings. So let me know if you see that. Excellent. Okay. So if you click on the MPX settings, I already have some keys in here. We will provide you, everyone here, we're going to provide you an OpenAI key for today. We're going to revoke it at the end of the day so people can play. Now, these also are very early nodes. We are our next set of nodes that we're releasing, which are the same ones, but they're a little bit different, will only require the MPX API key. But for this demo, we're going to be using 2 API keys. The first one I'm going to show you how to get from our developer website, and the second one I'm going to give to you to use just for today, and then we'll revoke that. So what we need to do is get your MPX API key, and to do that, I'm going to we're going to go to developers.mpx.com. And you should have received an email yesterday, kind of walking you through how to get a sign in. I'm going to log out actually here. So if you go to developers.masterpiecex.com, there's an API sign up. And in order for us to proceed to get the API key, you need to have your an API account. So if you're following along and you're actually going through it, I'm going to wait for you to give me a thumbs up to let me know if you've got a login for developers.masterpiecex.com. Okay, so it looks like Vincent has his API account. Does anybody else? I'm going to wait a little bit longer. Okay, excellent. Great. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to log in. What we want to do is we want to go at the top to My Apps. And I have a number of apps I've been creating, but everyone has a default app. And so what we'll do is we'll just get the default API key. Now, in case you don't know, API keys are associated with your account. Some people make, web applications or other applications that use these API keys. So you can associate them with an app name just to organize and structure your API keys. If you go to the default key, you will see in this area here where it says API key, you can just copy that right there. And I'd save it somewhere safe because it's a secret code. It's associated with your account. And then what you want to do once you have that copied is you go to ComfyUI, you go to those settings, and you can paste your key right in there. And we validate the key. Let's see here. You can see if you've done it right, it'll be validated with a little green element there, a little pop-up that says it's working. So if it doesn't work, that means you've copied and pasted it incorrectly. Okay, so we got Vincent's got it, Mobius has got it. Okay, and Austin. So it looks like we have 3 people who are really following along and some people are just watching. So then what's going to happen is I'm going to give you an OpenAI key right now. So just hold on 1 second. I'm going to put it in the chat. And be very, right now, because this is so early, you want to make sure you cut and paste all of it in there, because if it doesn't get cut and paste incorrectly, we have a little bit of a bug that's connected to that particular environment and variable. So just be very careful. Just copy the whole thing. It starts with an SK. It ends with the OC capital A. It's the whole thing here. And paste that into the OpenAI key spot. And when you're done that, let me know. You can close this when you're done. Excellent. Okay, great. So then what we want to do is do one more restart, and I'm going to walk you through our nodes. So go to the manager, go to restart, and then let's see if the nodes show up in ComfyUI. So on the left-hand side here where it restarted, you have the node library that's just under the Q, the little clock. You should see MPX prototype, MPX GenAI, and that image filter. Excellent. Wait for Mobius, Rishi, wait for Mobius. Just double checking if I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Mobius. Did you have the folders? Do they pop up for you as well? Checking. I have a lot of nodes. Yeah, it's addictive once you get in here. Okay, got it. Excellent. Okay. So I'm going to demonstrate a very simple flow, and then I'm going to show this Kitbashing flow. So basically, how our nodes work, and we have a new set of nodes coming out in about 2 weeks that are going to be combined into one folder, but right now they're separated into two. So the GenAI nodes, these are the ones that are directly connected with our API. So we have a text to image node. I'm going to show that right now. Okay. And that creates an image, right? And so I'm going to show you how that works really quickly. And then I'm going to show you how that becomes a text to 3D process. So we have a text to image. I'm going to put in a cute dog, not a cute dog. And I can drag the image node out this way. I can do a quick search. And right off the hop at the top of the search, you'll see a preview image. You can click that. And if I hit run right here, you should see a cute dog should pop up in the image preview. It'll take about 10 to 15 seconds. For those of you who want to know how we do our text to image, we're using Flux Schnell right now. You're very welcome to use your own image flows as well, but we use that. We also support LoRa's as well. It's not fully implemented in the Comfy nodes, but there's our cute dog. And now let's say we wanted to go from text to image to 3D. We have a node that says images to 3D. I can drag that out. I can drag that image there. And then right now in our beta nodes or early access nodes, we don't do the live viewport in Comfy. So we show you a thumbnail of the image. So I'm going to drag this. I'm going to go to search. There's the preview image. And so when I hit run again, it's going to go and regenerate a new cute dog. You're going to see the preview image of what that looks like. It's going to transfer it into an image to 3D. And then it's going to generate a 3D model. Now, one thing I should have done to complete this node, which I didn't do, is the third node that we have in our GenAI flow. It's called download 3D model from URL. So not only can you generate the model, but you can download the model, of course, to your hard drive. So you can download it as a GLB, an FBX, or a USDZ. So I'm going to drag this here. And we're going to have to watch this flow run one full time again because I didn't put that download node, because otherwise it just saves it into a temporary output file, but I want to properly download it. So just while we're waiting, just to remind you, we have the text to image that goes to image to 3D, and then we have a download 3D model. So here you can see this guy, image 3D generation can sometimes be beautiful. Sometimes it can be a little awkward. But let's try running this one more time. And we will then open up in Blender, and I'll show you the file in Blender. One thing to realize is in the download 3D models from URL, you want to put the output folder where you want to download things. So in Windows, it might be a C drive / your name / documents. On a Mac, it's a little bit different. So you just got to put the output folder that you want to put in there. I usually just keep the ComfyUI's output folder as the output. So right now we're redoing this flow. Here's the new cute dog. We're gonna, it's generating. If you want to see what's happening behind the scenes, you can open up this little tab here and look at the log, and you can see all the API responses and returning. Here we have a objects that, like our status response object, for example, returns the status of things, so you can keep track of the flow of what's happening. So we're just about finished this guy here. And then when it's done, we're going to get an image here, or a thumbnail of the 3D model. It's been downloaded here. So let me just quickly load up my Blender. Import. Here's a GLB file. I'm going to go to my documents, my ComfyUI. There's the output directory. And here's something right now, if I load it up. You can see the model. Now, the model was cropped, so that's why it's a cropped image. If you can see here, whoops, you can see that it was a cropped image. Now, I could have put more descriptions here and said, make sure it's a full body. You know, I can add as much as I want here for descriptions. It's what, you know, whatever Flux takes in. And you can change the seed and all those types of things. If it says used for 3D true, it means it'll be put on a white box, so it's easier for it to render around it, so it's a cleaner image. Okay, so that's a very simple flow. Before I move on, does anyone have any questions at this stage? Because I'm going to get into the bigger Kitbash flow, which is a little more elaborate. It has more LLM calls in it and a different process. So, you know, does this make sense, what I've been showing so far? Excellent. Okay. So then what I'll do now is I'm going to send you the Kitbash flow. It's another link. Just hold on.
Let's say we have a question.
Oh, yes.
You have a 3D viewer node, so we can rotate the output in Comfy.
Yeah, so we do. We're working on that right now. We have a way to do it, but it's not in one full flow yet. And so we have a 3D viewer that's a little separate, and it's not quite ready to show. So, but it's coming. So the link I sent here is a Google link, and this is the actual, let's double check. Yeah, this is the Kitbashing workflow. It's a .json file. So when you get it, you should download it. It should directly save it to your downloads folder or wherever you save it. Let me know if you've downloaded it already. Excellent. So for those of you who are following along directly and you've downloaded it, you go to the workflow and you go to open, and you find the workflow that you got it. Everyone's doing it. Excellent. So I already have the workflow open, so I'm just going to open it up. Tell me if you see this flow here. And it might take a second to load. When we were doing a practice run of this workshop, it took Nelda a second for this to load. So give me the thumbs up if the workflow has open. Okay, so Mobius has got it. Okay, Rishi's got it. Excellent, excellent. Okay, so let's get right to the front of the flow here. And now we're using some of our prototype nodes. So these are nodes that are a little more LLM based, a little more experimental. As a team, the way we've been designing our nodes is we've been really experimenting and exploring workflows, and then just really, you know, like trying them out in different ways. And this is why we're really excited to share these with you. So an area that in this flow, we have this thing called a text to an object list. And really this text is any string, any text, okay? And if you don't know how to create your own string, a string is there's a primitive node. You can right click, you can add a node, go to utilities, primitive, string, and it's this big string box, okay? Well, I've just put in this text, okay? And this is an instructions to a large language model on what an asset kit is and what kitbashing is. So I explained to it that we're creating the exterior of a space freighter, and we're using a technique that's similar to methods that miniature train and plastic model kit builders use. And then we just kind of teach the large language model what kitbashing is, and then I give it requirements. These are things that have to be there. So I want the hull, okay? I want the space freighter, it's like a cockpit. And then I just said exterior elements. As a generate a detailed list of other exterior elements that enhance the overall design. So we're allowing the LLM to start building our kit for us a bit. You can be as explicit or as general as you want here, but it's really important that you teach the LLM with, warming up its context, that what you're doing. It's an asset kit that you're building. And then we take that text, and we have in our prototype nodes here, we have this thing that's called text to object list. It's right there, right? You can attach the string to this, or you could start typing right in here, however you want. And we want to generate, a list of items or a list of things that I want to work on. And I have 15 here, and it breaks down the kit into 15 things. Right, we've got a rugged hull, we got a dual cockpit, we've got my Grammarly is kicking in here. We've got a engine thrust, sensor array, a whole bunch of things. We have another node here in our Gen AI nodes called select from string list. So this lets you take a list and select one of those things. And so let's just work with the hull right now, which is 1. If I go back up here, you'll see on the list, a blocky rugged space freighter hull is the hull. That's number 1. So now we're working with that particular piece of the kit, okay? And then we bring it to another node called text to string list. So what that does is it takes that one item, which was this particular item right here, because we've selected it, and then we are bringing it in here, and then we're going to I'm on 6 variations. So this is where the kit so the strategy here is that you have a bunch of items that you're working on, and the nature of AI is still very probabilistic. It's really difficult to create really specific things. And so the way to work at that from a kit bashing perspective is to explore variations. And so I will take a string, which says it's, we're working on the hull, and then I'll feed it into our text to string list and say, okay, I want to apply an art style, and I want to see 6 variations of it, and I'll even describe how the variations should be. So I think I say here, So explicitly ensure all variations are described as exterior items, meaning everything's observed from the outside. I gave it a particular art style, and what happens here is now we have 6 variations, and this is not the hull, but it will be when I hit play, but there is 6 variations of the previous thing I was working on, okay? So it takes, and the key number here is this. You can change that number. You can make 6, 5, 3, 2, and so sometimes in the beginning when you're using these flows, you have smaller numbers, so you can just, you'll see in a second, I'll explain. So we'll do 6 variations of this, and it creates these 6 variations. And then those 6 variations, we have an object list to image list. That means if you have a bunch of a list of things, okay, and then I want images of each of those things. And that lets us start seeing the variations of the hull that we're going to be working on. Then we have this this node called image filter. Now that's not our node. That's a different node. It's a really good node that we actually had to make a bit of a modification for, so it would work in the Electron app as well. The Electron app is the app that ComfyUI has been really starting to support a lot. It's just the one that works on Mac and PC. The one I'm using it's an Electron app. Some of you might be using just the browser version of it. It's the same thing, but sometimes subtle changes have to be made to nodes to make them work. So that's why I gave that to you in the custom nodes. And so what this does is it's going to take 6 variations, and it's going to create images. And this is where it's going to stop and let us make some choices. So this is as far as I'm going to walk through on the node. I want to make one more component to show our our object list to image list node here that takes a list of things and turns them into images. We can run them in parallel. If you want to run faster, you can increase the number of processes. So sometimes it's just a faster way to work. That's more of an advanced setting. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop here and I'm going to run this node, and you're going to see it's going to start, because it's going to start from it's going to start probably here because we've already done this work prior. But why don't I just, for fun, reduce the max objects to 14, and then it's going to start the whole flow again. For those of you who are new to Comfy, anytime you make a change in the node, that's where that's the starting point the next time. So this is the very first node that actually gets processed. Hit run, and you can see now this process is taking this text and converting it into 14 different objects. And now here's the 14. Right? And then what we did, just to remind you, we selected number 1, which is our hull. Then we've made 6 variations of that hull because I said put 6 here, right? And now we're generating images of what that hull could look like. And so here it's doing 3 images at a time. That's what that num process means. So depending on, how you want to work, you might want to like do these in parallel, or you can do them in series, meaning you're generating more images at the same time so you can speed up the flow a bit more. The other thing to note is that we have a fixed seed of 1, and when they're done, that image selector pops up your option. And the reason why we want to pause it here is that we might go and say, okay, I want to explore this hull a bunch of times, and it's more inexpensive for me to explore a bunch of images than it is to make a bunch of models. And so we pause this here, and we take advantage of the efficiencies of being able to generate images. And I go, maybe I don't want any of these. I'll go to cancel. What I do want to do is let's explore a different seed value. And it could be, this is where it's a little bit more of an exploratory process. And so let's say I change the seed value from 1 and I make it 100, or let's make it 200. And the further away you go from the seed 1, it makes modifications a little bit different. So I change it to a seed of 200, and then I can hit that run button again. And it's going to right now create 6 more images. And this is kind of the process of going back and forth and getting the source image the way you want it. And so you can see already now how different the changing the seed value, changes the way that this hull for this space freighter is looking. So when it's done processing these 6 images, it's going to pop up again. That's what that image picker does. It pops it up, and we're like, okay, let's say we proceed and we use this guy here. And I can also select 2 of them by hitting the shift button and pass. And I might want to do 3 of these, but I'm just going to select 1, and I'm going to go send. And what that does now is that sends it to our image to 3D model mode, just like I showed earlier in that early simple workflow. This is the same node, right? And I have it connected to the download models folder. And what that does is allows me to open up in Blender and start building a kit. Now, while that's happening, I want to share a few things about this flow so here you can always change the number of variations that you want, and that'll end up being the number of images it generates. So you might, for example, in the beginning, keep the number really small, and you play with the seed values until you find a certain seed value that is giving you the style that you like. And then you may go, okay, now that I've got that seed value that I like, I'm going to do 20 variations of this. Or how many you want. And then you pick the 1 or the 2 or the 3 that you want to add to your kit. And then once that's done, and we're just going to, so we finish that, I can open up Blender. file import, and let's close that. I'm now scaling this a little bit. So you can see there's the model that just got rendered out of that flow. So let's just go back a little bit more, and let's say we go back to this list, right? This is the list, the kit that we're building, right? And let's do a spherical turret mount with rotating base, reminiscent of gun turrets of the Millennium Falcon. So I used some references to movies. Sometimes I like to make references to movies. I allow the LLM to create those references. If you don't want to use direct movie references, you can also use, analogous references. So that is, let's see here, number 5. So now I'm working on the number 5 part of the kit. Let's say, because this is just the beginning, let's do 3 variations instead of 6. So I change that to 3. I hit play, and now it's pulled the 5th string from here. It's adding its style. It's making 3 variations of it. Those 3 variations are being brought into the same list. And I can play that game of going back and forth and looking at the output of these. And I'm like, okay, this does not look like a gun turret, but it is very fun. And I would love to see these as robots, but I'm going to cancel that. And I'm going to go back and start at, the seed number 1. Okay. So you can kind of see the flow that I'm doing here. I'm going to show you, I'll go through this, then I'll show you one kit. I've made a number of kits like this, but I'll show you one that I've done. And, maybe that's not looking good. I'll go and change the seed to 1,000. But while I'm doing this back and forth process, does anyone have any questions now, or would like to, share a perspective, or we can open that up? Oh, if you increase the temp, is that the same as upping? Yeah, yes, exactly. So if you want the string to kind of pass through the node and without any change, you make it a 1. If you want it to be very creative, you make it it's the same idea. Why doesn't it look like a gun turret? Okay. So here, and this is something I've been working on too, and I this is part of the challenge, and this is part of the troubleshooting of this node. So sometimes you look here and we go, it's a minimalist exterior angular sensor array with protruding antenna. So the reason why it's not looking like a gun turret is somewhere between this string here, this particular image, and this style ingest part here, it's not doing the greatest thing. Okay, and so sometimes that means I have to go into here if I'm working on a particular aspect of the kit, and I might just say, I might reiterate what it is. So I'm working on 5. So I might take this. Oh, I know why it's not a gun turret, because I chose the angular sensor array with protruding antenna. Let's do the gun turret. Where's the gun turret? Oh, that was number 9. There we go. And also, what I've been doing in the process is I've been really playing with 2 things. I'm playing with the 2 So the LLM is doing some, either it could be not hallucinating, but it could be adding its own elements. So like here, this feels very spherical, and I don't like the sphericalness. So sometimes it's just about finding the seed. So that's why I usually do a smaller number. And I hit play, and I'll keep doing it here. The other way to ensure things is in this particular injection where you're doing the variations. Sometimes it's worth actually going in here and ensuring that this LLM call doesn't override some of the art style. It can do that. So like, for example, here, I don't like the spheres. So I may go and say explicitly ensure all variations are described, okay? And avoid spherical shapes. Or no, you can't avoid shapes because Flux doesn't do negative prompting. So that's where you want to use something positive. So ensure that the item that you are stylizing maintains its original this is kind of where you have to think a little abstractly. So I was like, so let's see here. Observe from the outside, ensure the item you're stylizing maintains its style. Oh no, its shape. And I could even, for example, that's why it's spherical. It says spherical turret. Okay, so then I would change. It's a turret mount with a rotate. So I just made a little custom change for this one part of the kit. If it's not working, I'll run it again. And so that's another thing too, having these little LLM inputs lets you do these little customizations, because sometimes like a hull, it gets it easily. Sometimes it doesn't get everything. Sometimes it gets stuck in its interpretation, and it, just like, if you're using DALL-E, again, it's too spherical. So somewhere here, it's because it's spherical here. So then I can actually go here and go, okay, requirement. I could say ensure that all parts let's see if I can get this. This is usually where I have to go in and go back and forth a little bit. Spherical turret mount, rotating base. Let's see. Well, this is you're running into the challenges. So will you be using credits-based usage model once the full version is released without OpenAI? Yes. So we are using let me just try another one. We are using, let's do a heat shield, number 13, and let's see how that goes. We are using a credit-based system, and we're using a credit-based system for the 3D generation, the image generation, and the LLM calls. Yeah, no worries, Lucien. This is a real problem that I deal with, and usually in a 1 hour session, I can't go through the nuances. What ends up happening is I play across those two LLM calls to really find it. So sometimes it takes, if there's something I'm really specifically wanting, then I go in a little bit more detail. If it's a little bit more generalized and I'm not too worried about it, I just find the things on this list that I know instinctively that are going to work better than other things. Like the hull works really well, cargo bay doors. So what did we do here? I'm going to send this one off just for fun. That was a number 13, an angular reinforced armor plating with visible weld seam similar to an AT-AT enhanced protection against space debris. So it really comes down to, I'm going to do one thing really quickly, just to just really shift it up. If we could say I'm designing an asset kit for the exterior of a cottage, and it has to have an outdoor cottage, and includes one and only singular object. So requirements is an outdoor cottage. I'm going to actually do something really radical. I'm going to shift that right there. I generate detailed list of exterior items that enhance overall design of the cottage. Each asset should be distinct. Elements, a clear function. Okay, so here we're going to go wild. We're going to do a free ride here. I'm going to hit play on this, and we're going to see how it does something completely different. So we've got moss-covered stone pathway, wooden door, circular view, thatched roof, chimney, window shutters. Let's work on window shutters. Number 5. We're going to keep it in that 80s style. As you can see, we're going to run this right now. We're going to do 3 variations. And somewhere I've got an X-wing. Let's see here. I think I've incorporated. It's still giving me the Star Wars style to the shutters, as you can see. And one has a really almost little X-wing in it. But let's say I use these, and I can pass that through. So you can see there's still lots of randomness in the workflow, because I don't think you can get away with that right now in our world of AI. The idea is how can we get the LLM to really start building pieces quicker for kitbashes? How do we get our ideas out quickly? It looks very Lego-y. Yeah, totally. And the idea is to really be able to put pausing here to allow you to stop, so you're not spending a ton of cash on the 3D yet. And you're really playing between these 2 LLM calls. Now, this is just my Kitbash workflow. I'm going to give you a very quick rundown of the other nodes that we have. So here's an example of, we take script breakdowns, and we can throw like a script, and it breaks down props. It gives you characters. It gives you scene breakdowns, so you can put scripts in there. You can take elements where you want to merge text blocks. You have text in one thing and merge it to another thing. You might want to use some of our more advanced agents, like a reflection agent, which you can send a set of images in, and then you can ask questions of like, what is the best image? And I want you to do something with those images that's like reflect on it. It's a little bit of a deeper flow. I didn't show that today. We also have another one here called agent, which is like image select. I'll quickly show the agent one, and then we only have 5 minutes left. And I know I'm kind of going a little further, but I'm going to show you this agent one as well. So let's imagine here that you didn't want to have the little picker to pop up. We could put the images in here and go, ensure the image looks like it's a window shutter. If it doesn't, don't pick it. And if I do that, what that is a window shutter. If it's don't pick it. If I run the same flow now, it's going to actually look at these images, and it's going to choose the one that looks like the shutter, and it's going to pass it through the process. So there's a number of ways to construct this. It can be fully automated, or it could be very much like user choose as you go. So I think we're done, because we started at 3:30. It's 4:26. We have a few more things to share with you before we're done. If you have any more questions, let me know. These are very early, and like early things, some of them work better than others, but this is where we're going with our processes. So I'll pass this over to Nelda.
Leslie, do you want to share a little bit about what we do?
Yeah, so here's, let me just go back to our, just one sec here. Here we are. Why am I not seeing our present? I think I closed our presentation, Nelda. One sec. Here it is. Okay, so just a quick little blurb about us. So there we go. Thank you. One One thing that we do is we focus on maintaining our repository of AI models. And so one of the hard challenges is that as you're working in 3D, there's new models that come every 3 to 6 weeks. We really evaluate which models are working. We incorporate those into our API. So for example, we're about to release some of our multi-view components to our models. We have models that can do retexturing. We also focus on a simple, quick way to do the image generation. And our models that we're releasing, our Comfy nodes that we're releasing next week, have all LLM calls embedded in them. So it's really about keeping that, curating a list of good models and keeping that up to date. And two, we have an API that you can use as a developer, and you want to like string things into your workflows very specifically that you might have for your pipelines. Or three are Comfy nodes, which allows the creatives to build their own flows and really push what we're doing to the next level. And that's really what I wanted to show you is like, here's what we're doing, here's what we're experimenting with, but it's the people in the field that are working and solving the real problems that are going to really expand what we're capable of doing together. And so one thing that we do is we have experts that we have machine learning experts, we have workflow experts. We can work with you to develop flows on a more service basis, or you can play with the nodes that we do in our API and you can string them together yourself. So that's what we do. We'd love to work on any projects or learn from anyone with any like kind of like follow up or connecting with you after. We'd be always welcome to hear your perspectives on where we're going and where you're going with AI. So I'll pass it over to Nelda now.
Thanks so much, Leslie. So all right, we're almost at the very end of the session, but before you go, here are a few next steps to keep the creative energy flowing. So the first is make sure you join our Discord server, and there is a channel in there called Post-Workshop Lounge, where you could continue the conversations that we're having here. You could also share some feedback, ask follow-up questions, and dive a little deeper into the AI-powered 3D kitbashing insights with other attendees on this call. Next is within, as Leslie mentioned, within 2 weeks, we'll be releasing our public beta with updated nodes. So let us know if you'd like to be informed when these nodes are out. We'll also be sharing them on the Discord channel. And then finally, we want to highlight that what's coming up in our workshop series. So our next session is on April 10th. It will be an encore of this Kitbashing with AI workshop. And then after that, we'll dive into multi-view generation workflows, so an essential skill for capturing multiple perspectives in 3D production. And with that, thanks again for joining us. And if you want to reach out, feel free to email either of us or reach out to us on Discord. Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate you.
Thanks so much. And if you have any questions, please reach out.
Bye, y'all.